Thank you, Madam Chairman, and Senator Schatz. I'm glad to be back with you. As you indicated, I am Scott Cameron, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Water and Science at the Department of the Interior. Today I will be addressing 4 bills related to specific Indian water rights settlements and 1 bill that would increase funding for the Indian Water Rights Settlement Completion Fund. S-4890, the Protecting Indian Water Rights Settlement Act, would establish 2 new sub-accounts within the Indian Water Rights Settlement Completion Fund, providing $450 million from 2026 to 2035 in mandatory funding for operations, repair, and ongoing maintenance, and $2.5 billion over the same period for new and continuing settlements. The Department appreciates the commitment to implement enacted settlements, contingent on available appropriations. We look forward to working with the committee to ensure appropriate funding is provided as part of the annual appropriations process. S-3573, the Aamodt Litigation Settlement Act amendments, would allow parties to extend the statutory deadline for completion of the Pechanga Basin Regional Water System. This will allow the Department to continue working closely with our Pueblo, state, and county partners to ensure the best use of the remaining federal funding for construction of the regional water system. The Department is pleased to support S-3573 as it has become apparent to the parties that authorized federal funding will be insufficient to complete construction of the regional water system as originally contemplated by June 30, 2028. The parties have agreed to reassess the phased construction schedule and, if necessary, make changes so that by the time federal funding is exhausted, the Department will have provided the settlement parties with a regional water system that is as functional as possible. The bill does not provide additional federal funding, but offers flexibility to maximize the value derived from existing resources. S-3617, the Yavapai-Apache Nation Water Rights Settlement Act, would ratify a settlement agreement and appropriate over $1 billion in mandatory spending for its implementation, including major infrastructure projects. The Department has significant concerns about any less than feasibility cost estimates and advises Congress authorizing any project until a thorough feasibility study is completed would be problematic. In this specific case, the Department also has serious concerns about the size and scope of the projects relative to the United States water rights claims on behalf of the nation. We also have concerns with provisions related to the Verde River and associated liability and sovereign immunity, and the lack of cost sharing from state and local parties who would appear to be benefiting from the legislation. This project appears to be oversized, with the infrastructure being much bigger than necessary. Oversized projects can understandably lead to larger cost overruns and unnecessary operational expenses. We are, however, committed to working with the stakeholders to address these issues. S-4368, the Agua, Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indian Water Rights Settlement Act, would ratify a settlement agreement, quantify groundwater rights, and appropriate $500 million in mandatory spending. The bill includes transfers of BLM lands and novel and potentially problematic provisions such as preemption of certain state and local tax laws. The Department has concerns about the federal contribution and some technical issues I think can be resolved about the land transfer. We look forward to working with the parties to resolve these issues. Finally, S-4417, the Pechanga Band of Indian Water Rights Settlement Technical Amendments Act, would make technical changes to the Pechanga Band of Luiseno Indian Water Rights Settlement Act, expanding the definition of reservation and broadening eligible uses of the Pechanga Water Quality Account. The Department is very pleased to support these amendments as they facilitate implementation without increasing federal funding or affecting enforceability. In general, the Department of the Interior is committed to implementing Indian water rights settlements and ensuring that tribal communities have access to reliable water resources. We look forward to working with Congress, tribal nations, and other affected stakeholders to address our concerns with some of these specific bills. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, to appear before you again, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Next, we will turn to Chairman Rocha. Welcome.